Welcome to our video collaboration. In this video, we will be able to distinguish between client-server and peer-to-peer networks, list network devices, and the specific uses for a network, and basically understanding the OSI model. And lastly, I'll be guiding you on how to troubleshoot network issues that would be very beneficial when it comes to your work. Our videos will be separated into two parts. The first part will be introduction to networking, and the second part is all about troubleshooting scenarios. I believe you are familiar with the term topology, but do you know the difference between the physical and the logical topology? You need to understand that topology describes how the parts of a whole network work together. When studying networking, you need to understand both the physical topology and the logical topology of a network. Let's go first with the physical topology. Physical topology illustrates the physical location of the devices and cable installation. See in this figure that the location of the devices and where it is located is all documented, while the logical topology illustrates the devices, ports, and the IP addressing of the network. The term physical topology refers to a network hardware and how devices and cable fits together, while the logical topology refers to the way software controls access to the network resources and how those resources are shared on the network. Computers can be positioned on a network in a different ways relative to each other. They can have a different levels of control over shared resources. They can also be made to communicate and share resources according to different setup. Okay, the following sections describe two fundamental network models, which is peer-to-peer and client-server model. Mostly, it is the devices in a peer-to-peer network can share resources through different techniques of file sharing or user accounts. The disadvantage of using P2P network is that it is not scalable as the network grows larger, and most importantly, it is not necessarily secure. Data and other resources are shared by other users and can be easily used by unauthorized users. Next on the topic would be the client-server network model. A centralized database manages shared resources in the client-server network model. A centralized database stored all the network information. One of the best example of this is a Active Directory. Active Directory is a database and set of services that connects users with the network resources they need to get their work done. The database or the directory contains critical information about your environment, including what users and computers there are and who's allowed to do what. You have learned that the networks, no matter how simple or complex, it is needed that you must be familiar with the network devices. Knowing the function of these devices would definitely help you when it comes to troubleshooting. Let's start off this discussion of networking hardware with the network shown here. Keep in mind that every node on a network needs a network address so that other nodes can find it. We have routers, switches, firewalls, access points, servers, endpoints, and other appliances that may be needed in your environment. We can discuss few devices in the slide. First is router. These devices connect networks and intelligently choose the best path between networks. Their main function is to route traffic from one network to another. I'm not sure if there are still hubs that are being used right now, but I highly suggest to use switch instead of a hub, as hub only accepts signals from a transmitting device and just repeat those signals to other connected devices in a broadcast fashion. On today's network, Ethernet's network, switches have now replaced hub. So generally, the traffic is greatly reduced with switches because when a switch receives a transmission from a device, switch sends it only to the destination devices rather than broadcasting to all devices connected to the switch. Switches have two kinds of switches: unmanaged and also managed switch. An unmanaged switch provides plug-and-play simplicity with minimal configuration options, and has no IP address assigned to it. Unmanaged switches are not very expensive, but their capabilities are very limited, while managed switches, on the other hand, can be configured via a command line interface or a web-based management, such as GUI. Next would be firewall. A firewall is a specialized device or software that selectively filters or blocks traffic between networks. A firewall protects a network by blocking certain traffic towards a firewall's position. Remember, firewall includes filtering from ACLs. They also offer a wide variety of other methods to evaluate, filter, and control network traffic. That concludes part 1 of our two-part video series. You can watch part 2 on my channel, where we explore the OSI layers and troubleshooting techniques.